welcome back to our sports edition of News Geelong. Well, all the grand finals are starting now. Stingrays in the basketball have started their 3-game championship this weekend. We caught up with one of the marquee players, Eric Williams. Corio Bay Stingrays are in the grand final. Could you first take us through the semi-finals and also tell us about that game where you shot 45 remarkable points?
I say starting from the first series, the grand finals. First game was here, our home. I think they say home court advantage is good, but when it's 3 games, I don't think it's as good because we had home court first. And I think it was all bad for Waverley that we had home court first. And just when I had 45 points, I just felt like I just tried to do whatever I could. I just shot whatever it felt good. Like I had no conscience. I just shot everything. So I felt good that whole week during practice. My teammates, we all got around each other and said we needed to do this and go strong. And no matter what, we're gonna try to come out with the victories. And so that's what we did.
Also, during these semi-final series, one of your teammates in Hutchinson celebrated his 400th game representing the Geelong City across the Supercats and Stingrays. Could you tell us how important he is to the team?
He's very important. He's our captain for the past couple of years, so he's a big influence on, especially with some of the younger guys, and just telling us to keep pushing. And I'm mad that we didn't win the 400th game for him, but we got the 401 for him, so I'm very happy about that. And yeah, I'm proud of Hutchie, the way he's been playing and still shooting it. So yeah.
You may not have won that match, but let's hope you win this grand final series. Now, you're up against Ringwood, I believe, yeah? Tell us about the last 2 times you played against them this season and just how important this grand final is, considering it's 3rd versus 4th, which is, you know, a surprise for the championship match.
I mean, when it's only 4 teams in the finals, it's 1st through 4th is all close, 1 game apart, 2 games maybe. But yeah, Ringwood is a good team. We know they're the championship quality team, and we know they're going to come out strong. And they have depth just like us. We're a deep team. They're a deep team. So the first time we played against them here, we went down to the wire. But at their house, they really took advantage of us. We wasn't ready. I don't think we prepped very well that week. But no excuses. They got us there. But best believe this week we're prepping very hard and we're going to come out strong.
When you mentioned preparation, I believe they have 2 imports in their side. Have you looked at who's going to man them?
They have 2 imports, but I think we'll do just fine. I mean, you have me at the end of the day, Jason Reardon, Milo Hicks. We're pretty strong ourselves, so they have to man with us too. And it's only 1 ball, but I think it will come down to defense at the end of the day.
Thanks for that, E-Will. Well, we'll stay in South Geelong now, crossing to Gardenia Park, talking all things AFL with head coach Chris Scott.
Yeah, the second one was very marginal. I think he was on the way down before he got any contact at all, but it was 3 or 4 minutes into the game. And he obviously took no further part in the game, but was in pretty good condition post. But as we know, with concussion, how they're feeling straight afterwards isn't always the best guide. But now we're a few days post game. The signs are pretty good, but we'll need to make sure that we're really careful and continue with that philosophy. Even in finals, to be honest, Tom, it's not necessarily about the long-term availability of that player. It's what's best for the team as well. And it's too big a risk in today's footy to taking guys that have injury concerns. But I guess at the forefront of our thinking when it comes to concussion is the health and welfare of the player. So Mitch needs to be absolutely right to play. But if he doesn't play this week, given the amount of footy he's played during the year, I don't think that's going to be any serious impediment to his form coming into the finals. Well, I think that's part of it. The mental battle is difficult. A lot of AFL players go out on the field, unbeknownst to other people, struggling with minor injuries. And Tom's issues been a little bit more public than some others. But it's extremely frustrating when you're a quality player and you're physically restricted in your output. So I think that's taking a little bit of a toll on him. But Tom's been marginalised before. by some people and bounced back pretty well. So he's a leader within our club. He's an extremely important player. Even when he's been slightly off this year, he's played a role for our team. Certainly the opposition needs to put a lot of work into him, and we're probably running the risk now that West Coast might breathe a little bit easier knowing he's not there, because while he hasn't been at his absolute best, he's still a handful. Oh, very unlucky. In some ways I don't believe in players being unlucky. You force your way into the team or not. But if there ever was an unlucky player, it's probably him. We are in the position where we have a lot of players capable of playing AFL footy, and unfortunately we can't squeeze them all into 22. In some ways Josh suffers because of his age, and we've been pretty open and upfront with that. If two players are on about the same level, we're going to pick the younger one. That's difficult for some older players to accept, but in terms of buying into the team ethic and what we wanted, the values that we want to live by, there aren't many better than Josh, so he's handled it extremely well. Yeah, a little bit, but it's down the bottom of the list of the priorities. Unfortunately, in some way, we're not immune to the romantic notion of players achieving individual goals. But all our players are more committed to the team ethic. One of the great people of this football club retired on 199 games and doesn't regret it for a second. So I think in the scheme of things and the stuff that Josh prioritises, I think that small individual milestone would be pretty low down the list. Yeah, he has. He's been a really important player this year. We've had a few players slightly change their roles this season, and Stokesy has played in a very tough position for most of his career. That small forward position can be a very difficult one to get some consistency in. He's moved up into the midfield and given us something a little bit different. It's been a real positive for us this season, and it's really off the back of the work he put in pre-season. I think he was disappointed in his year last year and really put in the work to make sure that he changed his destiny. And I think 150 is a fantastic achievement, but in the scheme of things and in the scheme of what we're trying to do as a team, it's a relatively small milestone. We rate Nathan Vardy extremely highly. Lobie's a big ruckman and got his hand to the ball quite a bit, but I think we look at a lot more to the ruckman's game than just the hit-outs. I think if you look at from the team perspective, Port slightly beat us in the clearances, but I think in terms of efficiency we were clearly better. And Nathan Vardy gives us some fantastic follow-up at ground level and in some ways acts as an extra midfielder. So we're extremely confident in what he can give. And if we go back to the way we looked with Big Dawson Simpson in the team, we don't have another player of that size, so we can't go like for like. We've got options, and we're not locked into one or two players to fill that role. But we're really confident that the group of ruckmen that we have can compete against the very best. Yeah, they're playing really good footy. They've turned around their season in some respects just recently, pushed some really good teams and had a great win on the weekend. Their midfield's really strong. I think when they've got all their forwards on the park and in form, they're as dangerous a group as any. And over there, they're always a challenge. It's probably just what we need at this stage of the season, to be honest. We'd love to bank the 4 points for the next 3 weeks and go into the finals in a good position, but more important than that in some ways is making sure that we're in good form, and you can only really test your form against good opposition. So it's a test. We need to win. We want to play our best. But the week after is going to be a pretty big test as well against the Swans. So in terms of the longer term picture, I think our lead into the finals can be a real positive for us given we play our part. You'd be surprised to hear how far away I am from those negotiations. So without wanting to pass the buck to others in our organisation, you're probably best asking them. From the position that I hold within the club and the discussions I have with Steve on a daily basis, we don't talk about the contract too much, but we talk about his footy and how he's enjoying life. I think he's in a pretty good place. So that gives me a degree of confidence as well. But I'm sorry, I can't, even if I wanted to be drawn into those sort of conversations, I can't really add too much light on his contractual situation.
Thanks for that, Chris. Well, that's it for sport this Friday night. Remember to catch me and the boys on the GDFL Footy Show tomorrow morning from 8:30. Until then, back to you in the studio, Rollo.
Thank you, Alex. Another top job. And thank you for being with us on News Geelong this evening. If you're on the punt tomorrow, we are heading north to Rose Hill for Race 8 horse number 3, Wazn, W-A-Z-N, to be ridden by the Japanese international hoop, 16-year-old Yusuke Ishikawa, nicknamed Junior. And a reminder to tune in to the ladies of Geelong and District Footy League netball tomorrow morning at 8, to be followed by the boys of the Geelong and District Football League footy show, led by Digital Dick. And unfortunately, the little insect Grubby Cations remains unwell. So get well sooner than later, Grubby. We really do miss you and your expert learned comments on the game in such a natural way that you present. Big Dick is in withdrawal. So Grubby, take your time and smell the flowers. To all the local Geelong junior footballers and netballers, enjoy your first week in the finals. It's the participation that is important. And to you, our loyal viewers, enjoy your week ahead, stay safe, and a very good night.